see soon enough if that came through. I don't really know. It is the mystery font, and imagination may be game to play today. If you are game, liaise that. Please raise that. Please name and liaise that aid. Imagination may be game today to play. Mind, nature, liaise your creature that makes your ape what you, your brain, would shape and then create. Thus, make goat escape. Make goat escape now, today. Be not prey. Be not predator. Be play. Imagination may. Ah, yes. It's this. Particle matter wave. Nature, knave, creature, knave, make salve and save imagination, knave, create your now ape, create your ape, now shape what your imagination would make into the goal escape. Imagination aim I can tame. Radio science brain arranged by you for decades. This age is activation. Come true through your practice and emancipation. Radio science brain be named by your shape imagination. Now ape what you're managing, mention what you're building with. Build that freight, imagine and shape your aim. Let's trade perpendicular trains. We made perpendicular trains relay. Perpendicular trains now parallel against hate, parallel against pain. We made them play. We can direct tracks new ways. Perpendicular trains. Old technologies used in new ways. Imagination aim might make life contain. Emancipation in an unexpected place. Nature you create, nature how you shape. Imagination ape, imagination. Imagination aid. The name. Radio science brain vibranium through all fiber and field humane. This act of chaos in us, I call it ominously obvious that we are loving an anti-loss. We are new Colossus. I'm calling the ominous and obvious response. The mindness of the fontedness at mystery font builds a fonted house, a loving response, an emancipatriot, an emancipatriot, coalescing upon us. Radio science brain, what make you of play? What make you of your mind today? Make play perpendicular brains, elate now. Don't be made by someone else. Be play, constitute your array. Constitute your array against erasure. Be your nature you'd shape. Be the nature your ape makes. We are imagination apes. Emancipatriate. Remain. We're always all the same. Our diversity is part of the human terrain. Radio science brain. Let's trade perpendicular trades. We've all played and been played. Let's trade. Let's relay the gifts we have braided. Let's make whole new braids. Radio science brain, we wait. Science brains levitate. Science brains levitate. This is the germane braid. Possibly, love is sane. It has been held in certain quarters that it's worth postulating and programming into some array somewhere. This codec, love may be sane. It may be safe to contain love. Love may be sane. This is a difficult thing for us to hold on to amidst hokum, but love may be sane. It may be difficult to hold this and stand upright. Pretend that love is sane. Love might be sane. Today, the mind may just be game to gain that love is sane, and know how not to complain, but to remain. The brain with that illumination reign from all brains to all brains, that we maintain a perpendicular train liaised, mind maze awake. Not away because we are liaised, we are in place, we are ubiquitous, ubiquitous parades. Imagination A's, imagination ways not. We are levitations across all and each of every of our spots. Imagination wrought us, but we are not what rots. We are fields of thought, and there is only one thought. And all of us, it's God. Maybe each of us is the thought. Maybe each of us individually are all of the thoughts we've got. Perpendicular trains parallel against hate, parallel against pain, might make love sane, or at least complain. It could be a new kind of strain, some kind of mind virus, I guess. Although I've heard it spoken before that if we treated one another like the love we think is more, and let that explore, we might find a safe floor. I've heard that before. I've heard that if you're saying love and I say love is yours, and you say I can have some love too, it's more for us, then we can make forest floors. We can make flourishing floors for us. What is a boreal or a rain or forest? Implore us. We are distracted from speaking how to foster a forest. We are distracted from speaking about what a forest is. We are distracted from songs of celebration for existence. We're distracted from figuring out how to foster a safe place in the habitat for ourselves as we relinquish constant punishment on our habitat and ourselves. We're distracted from what we've learned about generational trauma. We're distracted from building community and having the courage to enter spaces that are not ours as humble people asking to join community rather than to extend our missionary imperative. It's never been a game. We participate in a lot of things that are a distraction. What is it that really matters today that you must deliver into existence?
Maybe it's being there for that dinner, because everyone will really care that you are there, and it will make the world better. Maybe there's something that has to get into the mail, and you will be at ease when it's done. Maybe someone you love needs to know that they're not alone, and that someone was thinking of them and wanted to reach out and say, I think there's something you would enjoy. Let's go. What has to happen today? Mark well those who don't hear what needs to happen today, and preempt it with threats or shocking boundary violations. Be aware that shocking boundary violations are how dark
try and predators coerce and breach boundaries to sow submission. How can we be safe now? How can we be safe now if we are not all able to say, I am in an abusive relationship with someone who contacts me every day and leaves threatening messages to people that I will see everywhere? And few people are spared their wrath. Everything that they say says that they're in charge, that we should be listening to them, that they are worth listening to drone on and on and on to preempt all else, because a fart from their mind is worth all of our lives lost. That they are simply the sauce, and the rest of us are an audience or a stand-in for the audience that's the boss. Everything he says can be boiled down to I have absolute authority. Whether it's a narrative that we should simply continue to listen to him because everything and all genius comes from him, or because he might realize that we're not gods like him and vanish at any moment. Everything that he does says that he gets to break the rules and remake them, or that his splendor is such that even if he crumbles us and eats us like a sandwich, that then that was good and plenty and grateful God be. That even terror and peeling skin from our families would be a glad tiding because he trumps anything. He is wearing his name like a cowl, like a verb, like a gift, like a weapon. He is a weaponized action of his name, and he is aware of it. He is not here to win. When he told us we would get tired of winning, what he meant is that we would get tired of him beating us. We would get tired of him winning. And him winning can mean different things, but it definitely means that he is beating something or someone. It definitely means that he has enforced fear and essentially winning as a trapping. When one leaves the battlefield alone, has one won anything? When one leaves the planet alone, or burns with it, because at least they were in control of the destruction, has anything been won at all? What he meant is, we will be tired of experiencing constant conquest. We will be tired of someone looking for what he can now eat that we are sitting or sleeping on, or that was going to be our food. He will be looking for something that we value to decimate in the public square and urinate on it before setting it on fire. And he will broadcast his pillory of it while it dies. And he will say, I have now taken this sacred atrocity and blessed it with my participation in it. chosen. My retribution is my protection. He is trying to conquer everything, and that includes meaning. He will be looking around for what he eats next, and he will always find them. And most of them will be people who are close to him. But everything radiates outwards. And choosing to trust Stephen Miller means that 100,000 people quickly turn into 1.2 million dead Americans, specifically due to COVID. That's 6 weeks of separation from the truth. 6 weeks of separation between when he was informed on January 20th, 2020, that COVID would be his greatest security threat and the defining crisis of his presidency, that he decided not to tell us that it was communicated by breath, not to tell us that it was far worse and deadlier than the flu. He decided for 6 weeks to sit on it and downplay it and say it was under control so that people would become infected. When asked why, in confidence, he said, "I didn't want to cause a panic." And that was the end of the story. He writes a lot of unfinished stories, and the punchline is the climax and threat. It is the impact. He makes threats with the beginning of a story, with vague boasting, such as saying, "I'll keep you in suspense." And so we are. We have been ripped apart from being able to have a say, such that when someone actually conducts terrorism and fosters an actual coup with violence and with their own lips stochastically threatens prosecutors, justly prosecuting them. And now, while we're trying to get a restraining order, he comes back to the house banging on the door, saying, "I'm going to make an honest woman out of you. Get her out here. She's going to be my wife. Stop this marriage interference." He's screaming, his pants still caked with shit and blood from the last time he came to the house, and said, "We have to fight for this family, or it's lost forever." He just announced that he's coming back to get married, and is banging on the door, and consent is supposed to matter. Consent and informed consent. He said that he would keep us in suspense. And then he said he lost by a whisker. Days before the debate we would all be watching, where he could slap us across the face and say, "I was being sarcastic." And we hear the dun 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 silently scream across the airwaves as we recognize, yes, he is actually mentally a vampire, essentially. He wants to terrify. and either is absolutely insane or in and out, devoid of real connection to meaning, even to right and wrong, or simply wants to terrify us that he will do anything, and may be unhinged, or maybe simply loves to tear people apart and watch us stewing over who will be next. But we have to realize, as compelling as this movie is, it is transfixing, but we are choosing to submit. We are choosing to be in suspense. We are choosing to remain submitted, simply because we hope that he will not lash out and destroy or abuse or utterly eviscerate and humiliate, or worse. And so it takes more than just one or two journalists and a prosecutor from The Hague. It takes more than a few prosecutors. It takes more than hundreds of thousands of people doing all kinds of work that no one knows about yet, or no one has time to celebrate because we are running for our lives. We are not voting for the quarterback, we're voting for the team. And we're not voting necessarily even so much for the team as for the existence of a game where the physics are about equality and justice and a level playing field. We are the reality distortion fielding. And if it matters to us, we can hold to build common language to take the promise of this country that has been largely a cloaked lie and take everything good about it and fill it, removing the corrupt woven fibers and the massive swatches of poisoned wool blankets. We can take space holding weaponry and falsehood and stacked decks, and we can do good things. We can lean in where we've held back, and we can make level where we've held none for some and plenty for others for the next attack. The new Colossus doesn't need to be changed. We just have to act like we know we're all the same, and like we all deserve to be part of one glorious range of humanity and all our diversity. The new Colossus is very real, and those of us terrorized and distracted from our gifts, we won't find utopia, but we will find a world that is slightly better and easier to live in if we stop allowing our addiction to punishment, our addiction to predating upon human need, via an excuse of punishment, which is ultimately our only addiction. We can literally break Gordon Gekko and restore the stolen throne from the ass of greed to be a seat once again for human need. The sacred good kindness of you and your family, or all of us. There's enough. And someone started a lie that scarcity was here to murder us rather than something to be aware and wary of. We are the reality distortion fielding, and scarcity can be used against us. Scarcity can be turned into capture pools. Scarcity can be used by Stephen Miller to make the words of the new Colossus a trap that then take people who are called to this nation, including the homeless, who arrive and find, in fact, their existence is illegal, and they are criminals worthy of enslavement. That certainly sounds like America has already vanished from the earth. Because if we allow the Statue of Liberty to be a lure, as potent or worse than Donald Trump's false claim of proof of fraud against him in 2020, his false and here today still entirely unsubstantiated claim. If he ever had the proof and still holds it, it's a crime. If he doesn't and continues to say he does, it's a crime. He is essentially Schrodinger's dictator. He is constantly both the person who didn't mean to sow a bloody coup and the person who meant to, and over months and years, coalesced and fanned the flames to foster it. He is simultaneously the person who meant to do it and the person who did not mean to do it, and sits at every point between those two possible seats, the only two possible seats. Plenty of things have more musical chairs than that, but with January 6th, he either had volition or had incompetence, or is somewhere on the line in between. And there's not one place anywhere there. There's not one place there that works. There's not one place there that is acceptable. What are we going to do? I think it's worth considering. That someone would only tell us a demonstrable, ridiculous lie to coerce us to be able to do that. They would only do that if they thought they would not be pushed back on. That the coercive, defeating effect of such a massive big lie and the power that he had when he came into office in 2017, that he thought and guessed correctly that he could get away with creating alternative fact and simply leaning into full-fledged reality distortion as strategy. This is minting Orwell as a living, breathing problem. He lied about the crowd size and leaned into it to begin yet another flank, like the birther movement, of irrational, shocking boundary violations, of colonizing part of reality that we would say, why would you do that? Why would you? No one would do that. That's a terrible thing to do. Why would you do that? And we're simply in shock, losing our minds at why would you say you can grab someone there? That's horrible. Why would you do that? And then we're in shock over his answer. Well, I just say that. It's just a locker room thing. No, my God, how would you? What? And we're just being assaulted by someone for whom it's not just not embarrassing. He loves this. He loves to say something based on how much pain it will cause us, based on how